you the gift by and the wrapping.
I know. Yeah, so why don't you just do it?
Hire someone to do it.
So did you get hurt? Are you okay?
Oh, I'm fine. I had COVID at the beginning, in March.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, I knew that. I thought.
But now you're good.
Yeah.
Well, I am so much better than I was.
Getting there, it's just a long recovery. How does it work if we do this online?
Okay, online, if you're on Facebook, are you on Facebook?
My husband is, I can get on his.
Oh, that's all right, you told me that.
Yeah.
You can go to YouTube.
Okay, I do that.
And if you go on YouTube and you just search for Simply Yoga Classes with Kaye Robertson,
Okay,
you'll find the channel,
okay.
and then you just watch. And there's no way to pay through YouTube. If you want to pay me, you can send me a check
Okay.
or whatever,
Okay.
because I really actually just couldn't cope.
I don't blame him.
It was just too much. It was too much. So, you can either do packages like you normally do, or just do a $10 drop-in.
Okay, well, I do Venmo too, but I haven't yet, but.
Yeah, but so yeah, you can do YouTube. And then for Facebook, there's a private page called Simply Yoga Classes. And these are broadcast live, like right now, this is on live.
Oh, okay.
And if you're a member of the group, it's a private group, you can just watch, but they're also all recorded, so you can watch them anytime recorded too. So
Oh.
that's how that works. So it is, we're a little bit late, but
Okay.
we're starting, this is an extra class, not one I would normally do, but since it's almost Christmas and we're running out of days, this is a gentle yoga class on the 22nd of December. And it'll be the last one before Christmas break. And so all those of us here at the studio, get comfortable. You can sit in the chair, but you don't need to. You can sit on the floor if you'd rather. You just want to be comfortable. So let yourself be really mindful of getting comfortable with how you're sitting, whether you're cross-legged or long-legged. Sit on blankets too if your hips feel better to do that. And then just close your eyes, the best part, letting yourself come inside a little bit, breathing in and out through your nose. See if you can let your face relax, let go of your jaw. Relax all around your eyes, all around your mouth. And just softly bringing your inhales into your belly, feeling your belly rise and expand a little bit when you breathe in. And then let's let our hands come on out beside us. So letting yourself lengthen up through the top of your head. If you're on the ground, just lightly touching the floor. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And reversing to inhale the hands right up through the midline here now. And on the exhale, opening the arms on back out and down. And let's inhale both arms all the way out up into a wide V and draw your pinkies towards each other. Feel your shoulders soften down a little bit here. Your palms face each other here. And then bend both your elbows. Let your hands come wherever they can. Maybe down onto your upper back, maybe to the top of your head. All that depends on how your shoulders feel, how they're built. Let yourself feel your triceps a little bit there, feeling that stretch through the upper arms. And then we'll reach back long again. And now remember, when I say left arm, I'm going to use my left arm and not mirror you. So try not to, it doesn't matter. We'll do both sides with everything. But lower your left arm down. Lengthen through the right side of the body and come over into a little side stretch. So if you're on the floor, your left hand can give you a little support there. Reach out through the right fingertips so you come into more space between your ribs. And then as we inhale, we'll come back up with both arms. And exhale the right arm down. And again, if you're on the floor, the right hand can give you a little support. Breathing into that side you're stretching. Good, and then we'll come on back up, lower the arms on down. And now, let's make a big circle with our arms. Bring your arms forward and up, and let them go as far behind you as you can as they come on back down. And then we'll just reverse. So reaching back with the hands first, and coming up and over the top, and bringing ourselves on back in, down with the hands. And then lift your hands up a little bit, shake them out, move through your hands a little, circling them around, feel your wrists. And if you are cross-legged on the floor, take time to switch and cross your other leg in front so you even yourself out there. And then let's take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, twist towards our left. Bring your right hand around towards your left knee. Now for a second, bow your head just a little bit. Bring your chin down just a little bit so you feel a little stretch there. And then come on back up where your chin is parallel to the floor. Now you can look at the wall beside you, or you can turn to look back behind yourself if you want. One more inhale. Feel the sitting bones drawing down. And as you exhale, come on back around through center. We're going to go all the way into the other direction. So again, once you come around, let your chin come down just a little bit. Maybe find a different stretch there in the neck, maybe in the upper back. And then bring the chin back up more parallel to the floor. And again, you can look to the side of you or behind if you want. One more inhale here. And then on the exhale, we're going to make our way on back into center. And then from here, come a little bit forward. Now these forward bends, be mindful, it depends on how your back feels. You can go just a little bit. You can walk your hands out in front of you on the floor and fold over your legs if you want. If you're in your chair and you separate your feet, you might even want to bring your hands down to hold your ankles or put your hands on a block or on the floor. Right? Again, it is different for every person. You want to be mindful. Don't put pressure into your back. Only let it feel like a relief. See if you can let your head hang. Feel the heaviness of your head. Bring some relief there to the neck. Let your jaw go. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly make our way on back up. Take your time and let yourself bring your feet together if you're in your chair. Let's release our arms again out beside us. And let's inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down through the midline to be in front of our chests. And then we're going to reverse and inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down like wings. Good. And now just lift your shoulders a little bit and then softly let them come down. So try not to drop. Try not to drop your shoulders. Just slowly lifting up and then releasing way down. And then finish off with the shoulders on back down beside you. And we're going to come around towards our hands and knees. And you know, if you do not want to be on your knees, do not be. You can turn your chair around so the seat faces you. And you can put your hands on the seat of the chair rather than coming down onto your hands and knees on the floor. And if you are on the floor and your knees don't like it, put a blanket underneath them so you have a little cushion. And if your wrists bother you, you can be on fists. You can be flat-handed if you're okay to be that way. Or you can come down if you want, like onto your forearms like that, right? So look between your hands there. Take a nice inhale. And then when you exhale, draw your navel towards your spine. Feel your tailbone release down. Drop your head. Round up into that cat pose. And on your next inhale, let your tailbone reach back and then up. Feel the belly drop, the ribs, the heart melt. You can look forward if that's okay for you, but you can look down too. So exhales, draw the navel towards the spine. The tailbone reaches down when you round up into that cat pose. And the inhale sends your tailbone back and up as you move back through into your cow. So move with your own breath, and if you end up getting mixed up when how to breathe, don't worry about it. Just keep breathing. So that even if you're breathing the opposite, it really doesn't matter moving through these two poses. Just find that flexibility through the spine, that ease of movement. Go ahead and finish off the one you're on. And then we'll come back to just looking down between our hands. Find like a neutral spine. So the belly's gently engaged, but you're not rounded up into the back, but you're not dropping into your belly either. And then we'll step our left foot forward and our right foot back to come into a lunge. And your hands can be any height. They can be up on a chair. They can be up on blocks, any height, right? Any height, remember those blocks. Lowest, middle, highest. If you need to be higher on a chair, you can even put your hands up on the back of the chair. But remember, you want to be on narrow railroad tracks and reach back through that inner right heel and enjoy stretching out through the back of that right leg. Good, we're going to switch legs. So to come to the other side, doesn't matter how you do it. Again, get your feet like you're on very narrow railroad tracks. Let your heel of that left foot reach directly behind your foot so you're getting the most out of the pose. And now think about your whole body. Draw your shoulders down. Feel your whole body here in the lunge. Good. We're going to switch again. So again, take your time. If you want to lift up a hand, you can bring your left hand up to your thigh, or you can let your hand stay down. It doesn't matter. It's up to you. And we're going to switch one more time. So again, once you find that lunge, if it feels good to let yourself bring your right hand up, you can, getting a little more into your legs and your hips. And then from here, we're going to come on forward and come into standing forward bend. So you know your back. Nobody else but you knows how your back feels. You can use support. You can have your hands on the chair. You can stack blocks up in the seat of the chair if you want and support yourself. You can let yourself release to hands down to the blocks or towards the floor. That is up to you. And just really be mindful of how your own back feels. Feel equal between your feet. Knees bent a little bit. Feel your sitting bones over your heels. And then just breathe. Imagine that your inhales and your exhales are equally important. See if you can let the length of your inhales and exhales come to be close to the same. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips, bend our knees. We're going to come on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. Now bow your head for a second. Look at your hands and really feel connected there through each of your fingers. Like separate your pointer fingers a little bit, then let them come back together. And your middle fingers come apart a little and meet again. And your ring fingers. And your pinkies, and then your thumbs come a little bit apart, but when the thumbs come back together, imagine they're plugging in towards your breastbone. It doesn't matter if it's higher or lower. It's where it feels good for you. And then bring yourself on back to bring your gaze forward like you're looking out at the horizon. Feel length in the back of your neck and your throat. Imagine a string attached to your spine coming up through your spinal column and out the top of your head, and somebody is pulling it directly upward, so you have this sense of a lot of space in your spine. Mountain pose, equal through your feet, thighs gently lifting upward. Good. We're going to unfold our arms on down beside us here now and inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on the exhale, we'll bend our knees and come forward into our standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find a nice flat back. Hands can be on the chair to give you a nice tabletop back, or on your shins, or on your blocks. And we're going to step the right foot back and come into lunge here. Draw your shoulders down. Press your feet a little away from each other like you're trying to make your mat longer. Good. And then we're going to come into a downward facing dog pose. Now your choice of where your hands are in dog is up to you. They can be up on the chair, they can be on the chair back or the seat, they can be down on blocks or the floor. It's Spread your fingers as best you can. Hug your elbows towards each other. Reach back through your tailbone. And imagine both sides of the body are equal. You can always bend both knees in dog. Let your next inhale bring you out towards a plank. Now you don't have to do a full plank here. You can go to your forearms if your wrists bother you, or you can put your knees down and do a half plank. You can bend your elbows if you'd like to do a push-up. And then we'll make our way back again into that down dog. Reaching back equally through the sitting bones. And this time, the right foot will come forward to come into lunge. Now you can put your left knee down if you're on the floor and you need to do that to get that right foot forward. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend again. And again, pay attention to how your back feels. Let yourself maybe nod your head a little bit or shake your head or both, so you can get that sense of really feeling the weight of your head. Let go of your jaw. And then be with those full, deep breaths all the way in and all the way out. Good. And as we now bend our knees, we're going to bring our hands to our hips and rise straight on up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. Now let's unfold our arms. Bring your hands behind you here now. Clasp your hands together. And then bend your elbows and for a second, squeeze your palms into each other. So your elbows are pretty bent and you're just feeling your biceps and feeling the arms and up into the shoulders. And then let the hands come down a little bit, and if you can, slide your hands over to the right. Now some of you might even be able to fold your left forearm onto your low back and squeeze your right palm into your left one. So again, you're engaging into your shoulders, into your biceps. And then come on back down through center, and we'll go the other way to the left, maybe just a little bit like that, or maybe folding the arm onto your low back, squeezing the left palm into the right. You be where your shoulders let you be. And then we're going to release. Let the hands come on down. And then release the arms. We're going to inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward into that standing forward bend again. And on your next inhale, find that flat back. It's like a tabletop back. Think, instead of lifting your chin up, think about the back of your head being in line with your spine. And we'll step the left foot back and come into lunge. So see if you can imagine you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet, pressing them away from each other, but zipping up your low belly at the same time. And then we'll come into that downward facing dog pose. So again, it doesn't matter where your hands are. Focus on the length of the spine. If you need to bend your knees, do. And you can walk a little bit. You can bend one knee at a time in your dog. Let yourself walk a little bit to feel movement through the feet. Opening a little deeper through the back of the long leg. Good. And then come on back to full dog. Next inhale will bring you out towards that plank. And again, you can come to your forearms if you need to. If you like to do little push-ups, you can pull those elbows in towards the ribs as you come down a little bit. You don't even have to do a full push-up, mind you. You can let yourself stay in plank too if you'd rather, finding that core strength. And then we'll come back again into down dog. And from here, we're going to bring our left foot forward to come to lunge this time. So again, whatever you need to do to get there. And then we'll come on back into standing forward bend with our feet under us. And release to where you can be. So if you like to use support, use it. Elbows above your knees can give your back support. Forearms on the chair, hands on the blocks. You know, some of you might want to hold your own elbows because that feels good, that little extra traction. Following the breath all the way in and out. And then we'll release our hands again, back up to the hips, bend our knees and come on up to standing. Inhaling the arms out and up overhead. And on the exhale, letting our hands come down right in front of our chest. Let's reverse the arms. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. On the exhale, open the arms like wings and come on forward to your standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back again. And this time we're going to walk into down dog. So you put your hands where you like to. On the blocks, on the floor, on the chair. Walk into that downward facing dog pose. And then on your next inhale, come towards your plank. Now this is totally optional. You can stay in your plank. You can come into your push-ups, or you can come into a back bend if you choose. You can let your hips come down, your chest come forward for an up dog. Or you can come down onto the floor and do a sphinx or a cobra. And then we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Take your time, walk a little bit, turn your head a little bit from side to side. And then we'll do that same thing again. Next inhale, come on out to that plank. And again, it's obviously really optional to do a back bend. If you choose to, you can. You don't need to. You can stay in your plank. You can do a little push-up if you'd rather. And then we'll come on back again into downward facing dog pose. And let's bring our right foot forward to find lunge from here. Think of your shoulders drawn down away from your ears. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. Right to the breath. See if you can count when you inhale. Whatever count you reach, try to think of reaching that same count when you exhale, so your breaths really do even out. That might take a little bit of focus and concentration. Good. One more breath. And then we'll bring our hands on up to our hips and bend our knees and come on up to standing. Inhaling the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, letting our hands come right down to be in front of our chests again. So mountain pose, if you need to shift around a little bit, do. Sometimes it feels good just to sway, to let yourself kind of walk in place a little bit. And then ground your feet. Imagine that you're pushing the floor away from you with your feet. Bend the knees a little bit. And then imagine you're drawing upward from those rooted feet. Your thighs are gently going to engage upward. You don't want to lock your knees. You're gently lifting up with the thighs, but the tailbone is dropping down towards between your heels. So you don't want to tuck your tailbone forward, which affects the posture really huge, right? Feel your hips come over your ankles and your shoulders over your hips. And imagine, whether your eyes are open or closed, imagine you're looking out at the horizon. And it should, once mountain pose becomes easy, and it's like the space around you is holding you up. There's this feeling of very effortlessly standing in your mountain pose. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us and move around a little bit if you need to. Walk around, do. And if you're using your chair, you might want to turn the back of it around to face you now. Have your blocks handy at the front of your mat, okay? And we're going to walk towards the front of the mat and come into Warrior One, which is front-facing warrior. So it helps sometimes to put your hands on the chair. We're going to step the right foot back a comfortable distance to where it's turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees. Your shoulders are square right towards the front of your mat. Front-facing, right? Front knee is bent, back leg is straight. So your hips, if you're in a short stance like I am, your hips are pretty square to the front of your mat. If you step further back, this hip might open up a little bit. Don't force anything in this hip. Just feel really good. Feel solid and equal between your feet. And then let your hands come to your heart. If you lose your balance, you can use your chair. You can have the chair closer to you and put your hand on the chair. So just bringing your gaze forward. Feel yourself now as you unfold your arms on down beside you. And inhale your arms forward and up into a wide V. Feel that lift in the front of the body. You can look up a little bit if you choose. Turn the palms to look at each other, maybe even pinkies turn a little more in towards each other, feeling like your arms are growing out of your back instead of your shoulders lifting up. Good, one more breath. And then we'll bring our arms on down, and we're going to straighten this left knee out and come forward for a pyramid pose. Now, if you have your chair there, you can put your hands right there on the back of your chair. Thighs are lifting upward. You can go lower with the hands to the seat of a chair or to your blocks. That's up to you. And once you get your hands down, sometimes you need to readjust your stance because you're trying to really get your hips level and square, but the backs of the legs are getting a huge openness here. Thighs are lifting up towards the hips. Now, it's up to you. If you feel like you want to let your stance get a little longer or a little shorter, by all means do. Good. You can even fold over this front leg if that feels good. You can bow forward, let yourself release there. Good. One more breath. And then come back up enough to where you can bend your front knee and find that lunge that we've been doing, where you release the right heel now directly behind your foot. So you're finding a full lunge, and we're going to add a twist. Keep your right hand grounded, bring your left hand to your left hip, and start to roll that left shoulder up. And you can keep your hand down on your back or on your hip or flat down onto the sacrum there, or you can stretch that left arm up if you choose. So pay attention to your own shoulder. Do what feels good to you there. And then we'll release the hand back down to lunge. And let's step forward and get our feet right underneath us. Hips distance apart and parallel. And then we'll bend both our knees, press into our feet, and rise up and inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And just enjoy a breath or two in mountain. Again, if you need to sway around a little bit, do. Bend your knees a little bit if you need to. Just make sure you're not jamming into locked knees. Good. And then we'll release our arms on down. Shake out a little bit, and we're going to do the other side. So this time it'll be the left foot. You come forward on your mat. Hold your chair if you need to. Left foot steps back. So as you bring that left foot back, remember, you can widen your stance a little bit. If it feels better to you to let your feet come a little wider so you have a broader base, you can. Or you can line your heels up. Everybody's hips are different. So you've got to find what's comfortable for you, from your feet up through your legs into your hips. Shoulders are around square. Hips are pretty square if you're in that short stance. And let your hands come to your heart for a second. Now see if you can for a couple of breaths here. Imagine you're inhaling up the front of the body, over the top of your head, and exhaling down the back of your body. But it's like a big circle of breath. So the inhales come up the front, over the top. The exhales go down the back, which brings a huge balance to the pose. And then we'll unfold our arms on down beside us. We're going to reach the arms forward and up this time. Now, you can keep the hands right above your shoulders or make a wide V if that's better for your shoulders. Turn the pinkies towards each other. Feel that lift through the front of the body. If you want to look up a little bit, do. But if you feel better to look forward, do. Don't add tension to your neck. One more breath. In your warrior one, and then we'll bring the arms on down. And now we're straightening this front leg out. You can adjust if you need to, if you've got your chair there to help you. And then as you come forward, you can put your hands way up high, getting that sense now of the thighs lifting up towards the hips, like you're making space in your knees. Hands can come down as low as you want or stay up as high as you want. And once you do, get your hands down. If you want to adjust your stance, longer or shorter, remember the back foot is fully in the floor. And that back foot is turned out maybe 20 or 30 degrees. And your thighs are lifting up. Your legs are working, but the backs of the legs are really getting openness here. You can bow over the leg if you choose or not. Good, one more breath. And then come up enough now to where you can come parallel to the floor again. And now we're going to work our way to that lunge. So bend the front knee and now reach that left heel directly behind your foot. So getting into your lunge here. And we're going to add the twist. So left hand stays down, right hand comes on up. And you can roll that shoulder up. You can stretch the arm up if you choose. Lengthen out through the top of your head as you reach back into that inner left heel. Yes. And then we'll come on back down with that hand. We're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath us again. Now bend your knees a little more deeply. Let your belly come towards your thighs. Let your head hang. And then we'll press into our feet, bring our hands to our hips, and rise straight on up to standing. We'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, bring those hands right down together in front of your heart. Couple of breaths in mountain pose, feeling centered, getting balanced. Good. And then we'll unfold those arms again. Shake out a little bit if you need to. We're going to come into Warrior Two this time. So your chair can stay this way. Keep your blocks handy. We'll step our right foot back and line up our heels here. So Warrior Two is like a side-facing warrior. So in this pose, your right foot's about parallel to the back edge of your mat, and your left foot is parallel to the long edge. And you can bend that left knee, be perfectly easy about feeling balanced here. Make sure that you feel your feet fully in the floor, and your arches are thinking of lifting up. And then keep your right hand down and see if you can reach your left arm forward, straight out from your shoulder, and look out over the top of your left hand. And then reach your right arm back behind you, straight back, so you have this long line through the arms. Beautiful. And we'll turn the left palm up here and inhale. Reach up towards the sky with that left hand. Use your right hand on your right leg to give you a little support. And on your exhale, come into your side angle. Either your left hand or forearm can go onto your thigh or your chair. Now for a second, leave your right hand on your right hip. Think about really lengthening through both sides of your body. And then go ahead and swing that right arm in front of the body, up by your ear if you can, so that you turn the pinky down towards the ground. Coming into that side angle. Good. And then we're going to come on back into Warrior Two. Press the feet away from each other. It gets you right back into the pose. And then bring your hands down. And now we're going to turn our feet as we turn towards the side of the mat. Get our feet more parallel. At least as far apart as your shoulders, wider if you can. And if you need to grab your blocks, you can come forward to put your hands down on blocks any height or the floor in front of you. Let your back lengthen out here. And go ahead and bend one knee at a time, unless it hurts your knees. So if this hurts your knees, don't do it. Just easily let yourself come from side to side. Good. And then come on back into center. And to stay here to be with your breath, you might want to stack your blocks up and get out of your hands. Keep your back long and be able to just hang your head like this. Or some of you would be fine to let your hands come between your feet and let the top of the head release down towards the ground. Only you know how your back feels with this pose. Keeping your back long is fine. Letting yourself release to where you're able to be. And then come into those breaths again. Full, deep, even as you can breaths. And see if you can find these little spaces between your breaths so that at the end of your inhale, you feel a little space, a little pause before you exhale. And the same thing at the end of your exhales. You feel that little space, that little pause before you inhale. Good. One more full deep breath here. Now, to rise up, just be mindful. Take your time. You can bring your hands to your thighs. You can let your feet come closer together before you rise up if you want. And if you're dizzy, really be mindful. Once you get your head up again, if you need to stay still for a second, you can walk around as you need to, move through your feet and ankles. We are going to do the other side. So this time it will be the right foot that steps forward and the left foot that steps back. So I'm turning my other way on the mat just so you get a little bit different view, but you can hold on to your chair. Your heels are in a line. Your right foot is about parallel to the long edge of your mat. Your back foot is about parallel to that back edge. And that right knee is bent right out over the center of your foot. And then see if you can rise your front right arm up. Look out over the top of your hand. Let your shoulders, though, melt down. So try not to tense up in your shoulders. Let them melt down. And then we'll reach back through the left hand. As the hand comes up, the arms are about equal, reaching equally out through both sets of fingertips. Feel the feet in the floor. Very strong, powerful pose, warrior two. And then we'll turn the right palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. Nice full breath into that right side body. And on the exhale, come into that side angle where your right hand can either be on your chair or your thigh, or you can go down to your forearm if you want. And this left arm, if you can kind of let it swing up into line. If it bothers your shoulder, don't do it. Keep the hand down. So don't do something that's going to make your shoulder uncomfortable. Be where you can be, finding that length through both sides of the body. And we're going to come on back into warrior two, pressing those feet away from each other to get you right back into that core strength. And we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel again as we face the long edge of our mats and come on forward. Again, grab your blocks if you need. And let yourself come over to the right. Whether you shift just a little bit with your block to the right or walk all the way over to your right foot or the outside of your foot or ankle. You can just shift the block just a little bit and be happy right there. And then we'll come on back through center and go to the left. Again, how far you go, up to you. And then we'll come on back into center and take your time here again. Use support if you need. Stack blocks up if you'd rather. You can put your head on blocks. You can put your forearms, your hands on blocks. If you prefer to let your hands come back, you can hold your ankles if you want, or have your hands between your feet. Or even turn your fingertips backward and walk way back behind yourself. So you got to find what your body can let you do here so that you can really let go in your upper body. Knees can be bent in this pose. Coming into those breaths, let go through your face, let go of your jaw. One more breath. Good, and then we're going to slowly make our way up. So again, use your hands however you need. Walk your feet together. Walk around a little bit if you need to. Move through your feet and your ankles. Good. And if you've got a chair, you can kind of slip it off to the side. And we're going to pull our mats into a wall. So we have plenty of room in here today. Let yourself come into a wall with the short edge of your mat. And same thing at home. All right, so if you can. And when you do go to the wall, bring your blocks with you. All right. And let's turn our right shoulder towards the wall and put our blocks right in front of us there. You may want them and you may not, but they're there in case you want them. And then we're going to cross our right ankle either above or below our left knee. It's like a figure four. And we're going to bend that right knee a little bit. Now, some of us might be up high. Shift just a little back with their hips and stay right there. And that's a lot of strength being built in that hip and that leg. If you want to go lower, you can bring your body farther forward, your hips farther back. You can even reach down and put your hands on those blocks if you want to. And you flex that left foot and you really get into the hip here. Don't do it if it hurts, right? Take your time, stay up as high as you need. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come up and you can use the wall to help you. We're going to uncross and we're just going to turn around and do the other side. So again, if you think you want the blocks, have them there. If you're like, yeah, no way I need those, just don't bother. So crossing that right ankle above or below the knee, or even at the ankle, right? Once you bend that supporting leg, feel the strength that you're getting into that left hip and into your leg, right? It doesn't even have to be very bent. You don't have to go very far forward or back with your hips, but you can if you want. That's why if you have the blocks there, because it feels like great, you can bring your hands down to the blocks. But again, don't push it. Let yourself come where your hips allow you to be. Good. One more breath. And then we'll come up. And we're going to turn to face the wall. Let yourself step back like you're doing a plank at the wall. Hands right forward of your shoulders. Now you can do fist. If this is too extreme for your wrists, you can come on to fist if you want to, right? And you can do a plank and just stay right there, or you can do little push-ups, bending your elbows and letting yourself do wall push-ups here. Elbows coming towards each other as you come into the wall and then come back out. Take your time. And if you're doing those push-ups, try one more. And then shift your hips back, and we're going to come towards a down dog with our hands at the wall. So ultimately, you want to get to where you have a 90-degree angle at your hips, and your hands are to the wall, shoulder distance apart, and you're like the shape of a capital letter L. Now, that long of a back and that extreme is not always easy for shoulders either. So you do what you can. If you need to stay higher, stay higher. Think about lengthening through your spine, and think about the back of your head being in line with your spine. So try not to drop your head down. Think of your head being a part of your spine. Good. That's better right there. One more breath. Feel that elbows just gently hugging towards each other. And imagine you're trying to make your mat wider with your feet, pressing your feet away from each other. And then we're going to walk on back into the wall. And for a second here, circle through let your hands circle a little bit. Actually make loose fists and circle your hands both ways. Reverse when you're ready. Good. And then just come on into rising your right arm up overhead and bend the elbow and just give yourself time to release that tricep. If you want, bring your left arm over the top and put your left hand on your right elbow. Not everybody can do that, right? So don't push it. Just be where you can. Let it feel good. Keep your gaze forward if you can. And then we're going to switch. Lower both arms down first. And then stretch that left arm up as far as you can overhead. Bend the elbow. And again, you can reach over and hold on or not. So just be mindful. Let yourself come into releasing your tricep where you can. Don't do something that hurts. Good. And then we'll release. Bring the arms down. Let your arms swing a little bit. Back and forth, and back and forth, back and forth. And we are going to come down onto our bellies on our mats. So come down to where you're just lying on your belly. And if you can, make a little pillow with your hands and rest your forehead on your hands. If that bothers your neck, don't do that. You know, you can put your head on the floor. So, you know, if that feels better, or use a blanket. And then bend your knees and let your feet circle around a little bit. And then, if it's okay with you, let the lower legs go from one side to the other like windshield wiper blades. Good, and then come on back into center, stretch your legs back long, and let's come onto our forearms, getting our elbows underneath our shoulders, letting our palms face down, spread our fingers. So kind of imagine that you're trying to reach an octave on a piano, like you're really stretching your pinky, your thumbs out. Really feel your hands on the mat there. If it's too much in your back, come lower down. Maybe slide your elbows down more towards your waist, or even up more. And that all depends on your shoulders and your back, right? So you be where you can. If you can get your elbows under your shoulders in Sphinx pose, do. And just bring your gaze a little forward of your hands and enjoy a couple of breaths here. Good. And then bring your hands together, clasp them, send your pinky finger out. Now you can bend your knees, lift up to a half forearm plank here, elbows hugging towards each other, zipping up your belly. Or you can put your feet down and lift your knees up into a full forearm plank if you choose. So you've got to find what works for you, and if you're like, well, I can only do one thing for a couple of seconds, do that and then come down, right? So you can experiment a little bit, finding some core strength here. And then we're going to release down all the way to the belly. Let your arms come down alongside you. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, float anything you can up in the air. Hands are reaching back towards your feet. Your feet are reaching back towards the wall behind you. Let yourself come into locust pose here. It doesn't have to be high to be effective. Now think about not lifting your chin up. Lower your head down so you feel length in the back of your neck. One more breath. And then we're going to come on down. We're going to go back into that plank. So either forearm half plank here, or toes down, knees up into your full forearm plank. Good. And then we're going to come on back down. And we're going to make our way back towards pose of a child. Big toes together, knees apart. You know, if it's too much to shift your hips all the way back, stay forward, kind of onto your forearms. And that'll give you a relief for your hips and your back, right? Without putting too much pressure into your knees. So you got to find what works. And you can separate your knees as much as you want in child's pose. So sometimes people like to have the knees closer together and kind of rest up on their thighs. And sometimes people like them open wider so they can come down further, right? Everybody is built different. So be where you can and breathe into your low back here. Nice breaths into your low back. Good. One more breath. And now to come up, just bring your hands where you need to help yourself press up. And we're going to come on around to sit. And if you know sitting is not that much fun for you on the floor, grab a blanket. Sit up on top of it. Have a couple of blocks handy here in case you want. Stretch your legs out for a second and move through your feet and let your ankles release. And you can do this little flip-flop with your legs. And then we're going to come into Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet towards each other. Now, for some of us, we're built as such our feet need to stay out further, so we have like a diamond shape in here. And you can put, if you want, you can put blocks underneath to support your legs, especially if you feel like you're tensing in your hips. If you give some support like that, oftentimes you can sit up tall and you can really focus on releasing in your hips. Now, some people are built that pulling the feet in closer feels really good in releasing to the hips. And, you know, so whether your knees are way up high or down low towards the ground, you got to find what works for you. So if you kind of adjust to where you feel like you can sit up nice and tall here, which is not always easy, and a blanket can help. Sitting up high, like she is there sitting up on blankets, you can do that. Let yourself lengthen up through the crown of your head. And then, coming forward, totally optional here, right? If the idea is to come forward with a long back, right? So that might be for you like not in the stars here, right? It might mean you think about coming an inch forward. It might mean you think about coming farther forward. So it depends on how you're built. If you can, try to let go. Let your neck release, right? So try not to lead with your chin like this. Let yourself feel release in the back of the neck. Doesn't matter how far forward you are, and then just be with your breath. Imagine that your knees are reaching away from the midline. Good. One more breath here. And then we're going to slowly make our way up. And use your hands to help your knees come up. And now stretch your left leg along. And bring the left heel a little more to the midline of your body. And bring your right foot across to the outside of that leg. Now it can be below your knee. It can be above your knee. It doesn't matter. You want to be able to sit up tall though. So let yourself use your hands here to pull yourself up nice, really and tall. Inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to twist, bringing our right hand behind us. So your left hand can kind of draw that knee in towards you, towards your left ribs. Or you can hook your elbow around the knee if you want and pull it in. Or bring your arm across to the outside of the leg if you have that much twist that's comfortable for you. So be where you can, lengthening up through the top of your head. Feel that left heel on the ground, drawing back towards you a little bit. Good. One more inhale. And on your exhale, use your belly to come on back around into center again. And we're going to switch legs. So right heel is about to the midline, so the left foot can come over to the outside. Now if you have to, you can put it on the inside, but all of you seem fine with it on the outside. And then sit up nice and tall, lengthening up. And then the twist comes in the middle of the back when you bring your left hand around behind you. So both sit bones are reaching down. You're feeling like that twist is in the middle of the back, but you feel how your right ribs are kind of coming towards that left inner thigh. Good. One more breath here. And then use your belly again to come on back around into center. Stretch your legs on out there and bring your hands behind you. Now you can stay up on fingertips if that's better, or you can go flat onto your hands if you want. Think about your chest coming forward, your shoulders drawing back, opening through the front body here. And you can look forward. If that's better for your neck, just look right forward. If it feels good to look up where the wall meets the ceiling, you can. Or you can even, some people really like to let their head come back. I don't, but that's up to you. And then we're going to come on up, and we're going to make our way on around to lie down on our backs. So come on around onto your back and let yourself release down. When you get down there, bring your knees into your chest and let your knees come a little bit side to side. Let it feel good. Feel whatever feels good. You can make circles with your knees if you'd like. So just be mindful and enjoy feeling that back release in your hips. Good. And then bring the feet on back down to the floor. Let's bring our right knee into our chest and extend our left leg down long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. Let yourself enjoy feeling that right leg coming into your hands. So so that you find all the natural curves in your spine. You're not flattening your back onto the mat, in other words. And then we'll bring the left knee in and bring the right leg down long. Flex through both your feet. Imagine you're just pressing that left leg gently into your hands. So you find that lower back curve. And then bring both knees on into the chest. Send your feet up in the air for a little happy baby pose. Let your knees slide off towards the ground a little bit, towards beside you. And if you want to reach up with your feet, with your hands, you can get your feet, or you can put your hands right there around the outside of your legs and just kind of put them on the back of your thighs. If rolling from side to side helps, do it, you know. Whatever feels the best for your hips and your back. Good, and then we'll come on back, in with the knees, bring the feet down to the floor. Bring your arms down alongside you on the mat. And now your feet are a little bit wider than you have in mountain. We're going to come into bridge pose, but feet are pretty parallel. Let's bend our elbows to 90 degrees. Let our palms face each other. And then press into the backs of your arms. Roll your shoulders under more if you can. And then as you press into the arms, just float your hips up. And it might not be high. That is totally up to you, how high up you come with your hips. You don't want to feel bridge pose in your back. So if you get up, you'll feel your thighs. You know, you're going to feel tightness in your thighs. You're using your legs. But you're lengthening both through the front and the back of the body without a feeling of pressure in your low back. So if you feel kind of iffy when you get up there, come down and maybe reposition your feet a little bit. Sometimes having your heels either farther from or closer to you before you lift up makes a huge difference in this pose. So you can play with it. You can come up, you can, if you'd rather be supported, you can put a block underneath your low back or a blanket and rest on it and just let your back go. Or you can use that block or support to lift up and down off of if you like to come up and then back down. So just play a little bit with it and don't force it. In other words, if you feel like you need to come down, let yourself come down from bridge pose. And if any of you, have done back bends and feel like, oh, I want to just put my hands on the floor above my shoulders and lift up into an upward facing boat pose, go for it. And feel free, come down whenever you want. You don't have to wait for me. So bridge pose is different for every person. Some people like to stay up longer, like to be repeating a little bit more. You're more than welcome to come down anytime you choose. And if you are down and some of you really feel like you want to do something else, let yourself do it. Like we did a seated twist, but just bringing your knees side to side might be a good idea. Or you may want another twist, reclined here on the ground. Bringing the knees both side to side or bringing one knee over and across so that you come into twist that way. But just listen to your own body right now. Take your time. Be mindful of feeling the ground underneath you, and instead of you telling your body what to do, see if you can let your body kind of take over for a minute or so here. Don't mind me, I'm going to start to get some light so that it's much easier to release into Shavasana when there aren't so many lights on in your face. Okay, there's a button right above you.
Yeah, there is.
And you just push it.
Okay.
Perfect, thank you. I want to put my foot in your face. So take your time. I'm going to start to walk around. I know some of you like bolsters underneath your knees in here. wanna bolster, wave at me as I come by. Gotcha. Got you through. And you know, sometimes if you lie back and you feel like it's a better idea to have a little bit of a blanket underneath the back of your head, do that, because that can release your neck. Let me know if you need one. You might have to adjust those, guys. I don't want to do too much. Might have to move them a little forward or back once I get them down there, so. Thank you. Yes. So be easy. Let your arms, your legs come to a really comfortable place. And that's different for everyone. Whether you have your arms out on the floor beside you with your palms facing up, or some people, they feel better to bring their hands to their belly or to support, or hands with blocks. That can sometimes feel good. And just let yourself be with your own breath now. Quietly accepting your breath in and out. And your breath's going to change. It's just like the waves. If you have been to the ocean and watched the waves coming in and out, they're not the same. And you don't try to control them when you watch them. So see if you can accept your breaths in that same way. And if you need to feel the need to take in a deeper breath, do. And when your mind wanders, which it will, it always does, just gently keep returning to your breath. Giving your body and your brain these few minutes so you can benefit from all you just did, just by letting yourself completely and fully relax.